Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon everyone. I am Halima Noor and I am going to discuss about intervention from helping or solving process in social work. So, what is intervention? Intervention, it is concerned with the action that would solve the client's problem. It means it is the activities are focused on the worker's activity. So, in the literature approach, there are other terms for the intervention, which is the action, the plan implementation, and the treatment. And also, it is depend on the practitioner's orientation. For example, in a clinical institution or the clinical worker, they call this intervention as the treatment. Dahil hindi naman lahat ng social worker ay nagtatrabaho sa office or school. Dahil meron din naman sa hospital. Just like what my sister experienced nung nagbabantay siya sa hospital, wala siyang idea kung paano nga kunin yung PhilHealth para sa binabantayan niya. So, tamang-tama, may mga social worker doon na tumulong sa kanya para mag-guide siya. So, at para malaman niya rin kung paano yung proseso ng pagkuha ng PhilHealth. So, social worker needs to find a solution or to create the activity after the planning. So, this is now what we call the implementation of the plan. And of course, kailangan ng participation and involvement ng client para mas mapadali yung process o pagtulong sa kanya. So, the next is, it is involved the rendering of all the specific and interrelated services appropriated to the given problems and situation in the light of assessment and planning. So, this is what I have said earlier, that this is the activities after the planning. And also, dapat agree si client sa advice or solution na gagawin ng social work sa kanya para mas madali yung process ng healing ng isang client. And there are two phases of helping process, according to Compton and Galloway. So, the first one is deciding what to do, or the assessment and planning. And the second one is doing the decision or the intervention. So there is also what we call an eco map or ecological map by Anne Hardman. So this is the assessment or the planning and interventive tools. It is a paper or pencil simulation. The worker and the clients actually draw a map showing the major system and that are a part of a family's life and the nature of the family's relationship with the various system. So, as you can see in the given example, each line has a meaning. And of course, alam na ng social worker yun para mapadali yung pag-a-assess niya sa kanyang client. Just like for example, Bella is my client. So Bella has a strong relationship to her friend, while sa kanyang mother naman ay may weak relationship. So meaning either na-abuse si Bella ng kanyang nanay or nasistress siya sa kanyang nanay. While sa kaibigan naman ni Bella is nakukuha niya yung happiness niya doon or masaya siya sa kaibigan niya. Di ba may mga cases na ganon talaga, especially sa mga teenager. So, and also as a social worker, dapat may knowledge and values and skills ka sa profession mo. So now let us proceed to the intervention role in direct practices. So, in direct practices, we have a lot of interventive roles. So first, let's define the interventive roles. So interventive role, it refers to the composite of activities or tasks that she or he is expected to undertake in order to accomplish the goals agreed upon with the client. So, ito na yung activities or tasks na dapat gawin ng social worker para magawa or ma-solve yung mga pangangailangan ng o problema ng kanilang client. So, it is also required a face-to-face and direct with the client in order to avoid conflict na rin. So, now we have the resource provider, social broker, mediator, advocate, and enabler. So, now let us proceed let me explain rather the first interventive roles, which is the resource provider. So, resource provider is engage the worker in direct provision of materials aid and other concrete resources that will be useful in eliminating or reducing situational deficiency. So, in resource provider, ito na yung pagbibigay ng pangangailangan, materials or equipment or financial na maaaring makatulong habang ongoing yung pag-assess ng isang client. Hindi rin naman pwede na si social worker lang yung gagastos dahil meron din namang agencies na ahawak sa mga social worker. That's why dapat malaman ng social worker kung ano yung pangangailangan ng kaniyang clients para ma-report na niya sa advisory niya or sa agency. So, there's a time na kailangan maingat sa pagbigay ng pangangailangan ng clients, especially for those who are addicted on drugs or alcohol. Kasi, may mga possible na ipambibili nila ng drugs or alcohol, but not all din naman. That's why some agencies, instead na mag-offer sila ng pera, mas nag-offer sila ng programs na nakakatulong para magbagong buhay yung mga clients. So, let us proceed to this social broker. So, what is social broker? Social broker is a process of negotiating service for clients, whether it's singles or group. The workers link or connect the client to needed service in the community. So, as a social worker, playing the role of broker means you as a social worker linking clients to needed resources that they need in order to survive and to function in the society, or to make referrals to link clients to needed resources. So, for example, if you find a street child, as a social worker, if you find a street child, you can play the role of the broker by sending the child to an NGO or children's home where resources will be available to provide the needs of that street child. So that's simply how it means of social broker. And also, worker perform a variety of activities to ensure rapid service delivery, such as helper, interpreter, facilitator, expeditor, and escort and negotiator. And also, social broker is very similar to resource provider. So, the next one is the mediator. So, the mediator is act as an intermediary of conciliator between the two parties or side. So, ang mediator naman it is engaged in effort that will resolve disputes between a client system and other parties. So, as a social worker, dapat pumagitna ka or advise the two parties na wag mag-away-away. Kailangan mapagbati mo sila in order to accomplish your goal. Help each party recognize the legitimacy of the other's interest. And also, according to Compton and Galloway, avoid a situation in which issue of winning or losing are paramount, and localize the conflict to a specific issue, times and place, and break the conflict down to separate issue, and also help parties realize that they have more at stake in continuing the relationship than the issue of that specific conflict. Like for example, sa mga pamilya na nag-aaway-away, iparealize mo sa kanila na walang patutunguhan yung kung mag-aaway-away lang sila in some reason. Dapat mas manaigong pagmamahalan nila na maayos pa yung pamilya nila, kung ano man yung pagkakaunawahan nila. So, yun ang mediator. So, the next one is advocate. Worker has to take a partisan interest in the client at his or her cost to influence in the client interest. Another party may also have the same power and authority over the client. So, as a social worker, you should fight for the rights of your client and work to obtain needed resources by convincing others of the legitimate needs and rights of members of society. So, social worker particularly concerned for those who are unable to speak for themselves. Let's say your client is dating magnanakaw. Pwede pa siyang magbago. So, as a social worker, dapat ipaglaban mo yon. So, another example is women abuse. So, yung nangyari is dapat ipaglaban mo yung women equality ng isang yung client mo. So that you will help to grow your client and earn respect. So now let us proceed to the enabler, the last. So enabler is interventive activities that will facilitate the client's strength and resources within themselves to solve problems. So, social worker provides support, encouragement, and suggestion to members of the macro client system so that the system may complete tasks or solve problems more easily and successfully. As a social worker, you are the one who is responsible to help the client become more capable of coping with situation of transitional stress. Dapat ini-encourage mo yung clients mo na malalampasan niya rin yung problema niya at matutulungan din siya sa kanyang pangangailangan. For example, sa case na rape, may mga time kasi na si client is na-trauma siya or takot na makihalubilo sa tao, which is yun yung dapat ayusin or ibalik yung confident niya. Ibalik ng social worker yung confident ng kanyang client. So, that's all for today's video. I hope you learned and thank you for listening.